Hi, my name is Taylor Fujisawa. I am presenting on the advocacy tool for my regulatory comment. Um, I made a comment on a proposed rule by the FDA around front of package nutrition information. So, a healthy diet is important to prevent lifestyle disease. Physical activity and poor nutrition are contributors to obesity. But of course, other factors such as genetics, culture, and socioeconomics also play a role. For this presentation, diet will be the focus, but it is by no means the only causal factor. So the public health issue I identified is that the excessive consumption of sugars, fats, and sodium are associated as drivers of non-communicable diseases. This includes diabetes, heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, and may make one more susceptible to certain kinds of cancer. 44% of deaths in the Americas are linked to high blood pressure, high fasting blood sugar levels, and obesity and overweight. Unhealthy diets and a lack of physical activity increase metabolic risk factors, which lead to cardiovascular disease, which is the leading NCD in terms of premature deaths. Poor diets are driven by the widespread availability and marketing of processed and ultra processed food and drink products that are excessive in sugars, fats, and sodium. Labeling regulations are a key policy tool to promote healthier eating habits, and it also shows industry commitment to transparency. These policies can reduce the demand for and offer of products that contain excessive amounts of such nutrients. So, what is the rule? This proposed rule comes from the FDA, and it is to implement an FOP or front of pack nutrition label on most packaged food items which bear a nutrition facts label. So the FOP label is meant to supplement the back of pack nutrition label. One report found that consumers spend less than 10 seconds selecting a food item. So from the FDA, the idea is that you can glance, make a decision, and then go while you're shopping. Um, the FOP is going to provide nutrition information to help consumers easily identify which food products will be the most healthful. The information displayed FOP will be saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars based on current recommendations to limit these three nutrients. The label will display the percent daily value and an interpretation of low, medium, or high. So consumers will be able to quickly interpret if a product contains excess nutrients. The FOP label will also help consumers compare similar foods quickly to choose a healthier nutrient profile. So the idea is that if you are in the grocery store, you're looking to purchase like a yogurt, for example, you would see the items side by side and will be able to discern that one of them has excessively high sugar while the other does not, and are therefore able to make an informed at a glance purchase. FOP nutrition labels have been mandated all over the world in recent years. The FDA's research into the proposal included literature reviews, focus groups, and an experimental study of consumer responses to three different FOP designs. That study showed that this proposed design performed best at helping consumers identify healthier options. So this is just kind of what it looks like. It's very similar to what is on the back of the package, just will be in the front. How does this intersect with Indigenous health? Currently, American Indian, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander populations have some of the highest rates of obesity compared to other racial and ethnic groups. There is, again, not one clearly defined reason for this, but we understand the negative impacts it has on health. One specific example points to rates of chronic disease among children and adults with obesity. And these stats are from the Office of Minority Health. Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders are 2.5 times more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes, 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with stroke, 10% more likely to be diagnosed with heart disease, and they have the highest mortality rate for all types of cancer in the state of Hawaii. So some studies have compared the effectiveness of FOP labels to back of pack labels. So these studies do point to higher effectiveness among consumers who have a health goal in mind or who are more health oriented. Um, but the probability of choosing a healthy alternative increases with FOP labeling. Dietary quality also increases, which is explained by decreased intake in added sugar and increased uptake in things like fiber. Because FOP labels have been introduced globally, there is a lot of literature to support its effectiveness. A recommendation that I made, which has been shown effective in Latin American countries, is the use of visual cues in the style of a warning label. This FOP label, which is reminiscent of a stop sign, reduced purchases of sugar sweetened beverages and ultra processed foods. One study found that warning labels indicating high in nutrients consistently led participants to perceive a sweetened beverage as less healthy compared to a drink without the warning label. By using colors and/or shapes, these labels are easily interpreted by children, speakers of English as a second language, or those with low literacy or numeracy skills. This graphic on the bottom highlights English literacy in Hawaii and shows where there may be a failure of effectiveness among minority populations here. An FOP label, which looks nearly the same as the back of pack nutrition info box, is easily ignored. A prominent attention grabbing design is likely to be most effective for a diverse range of consumers in helping them correctly identify unhealthy products. Again, this is with consideration to perhaps lower levels of literacy and numeracy. Also, the previously mentioned experimental study conducted by the FDA in 2024 found that the black and white nutrition label with the percentage of daily values performed best in helping consumers. However, the study participants were 62% non-Hispanic whites. I do believe that more studies should be conducted to more accurately reflect the diverse ethnic landscape of the US and their needs in terms of FOP label effectiveness. Also, regarding the percentage of daily values, its healthfulness can sometimes be misleading. Those values are often variable based on age, gender, or dietary needs, and it usually only focuses on one nutrient at a time. So my final recommendation was to remove the percentage and instead include a calorie count. Calorie content is still an important component to assist consumers with preventing overconsumption. So it'll help discriminate products that maybe do not align with consumer health goals. These are my references. And for my reflection, I am glad to have gone through the process. I did feel a little disillusioned through it all, just with the current state of, the government. But it is something that I do believe is worth understanding and contributing to. It also kind of felt like Civics 101, but is actually something that I've never participated in. I do think that the most interesting thing about the process was that the agency must respond to all unique fact-based comments and that they may be in violation of procedural law if they fail to respond or if they respond in a way that's considered arbitrary. So that aspect to me makes it feel like a powerful policy tool. And it was also interesting to read through some of the comments. I think a group created a mass letter, which was then signed by a bunch of citizens, because the same comment was posted like 100 times on the same day, but they all had different names. So I can imagine that there is a lot of that for some more contentious rule proposals. Well, thank you for your time. That is my presentation.